and I find it so funny because a lot of people who support that sort of shit don't even get that all you're advocating for is shit like this, to be so harshly scrutinized as a woman that you must adhere to these very narrow standards, this very specific shape of your body, this very specific way of dressing, this very specific way of speaking, this very specific way of being. And only if you adhere to all of those things do you get to be called a woman. Sounds like misogyny to me. Before we get into this video, I wanted to let you guys know that it's sponsored by my Patreon. Patreon is where I upload a ton of my personal vlogs and other things that I don't post publicly to YouTube. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, definitely check out my Patreon. If you followed my side channel, you know already that I have pushed all of my content from my side channel to my Patreon and will continue to upload that type of content onto my Patreon. Right now, you can see these videos if you are curious. And yeah, I'm excited to expand, and Patreon is exactly how I do that. So if you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon. Hey guys, it's Kat. As you guys know, Disney is remaking their animated classic Little Mermaid, and it stars a Black girl. Halle Bailey plays the role of Ariel in this film, and as I'm sure you know by now, that's caused quite a bit of controversy. Personally, I think it's pretty cool, and I think that if there were any princess that could have been race swapped, it was probably Ariel, since she is technically not of this world. See what I did there? But we're not here to talk about that controversy. We're here to talk about a very particular thing that I've been seeing on the internet about Ariel's sister. So much like the main cast, Ariel's sisters have indeed been race swapped. There are mermaids of every single racial background from what I can piece together. I actually really love the designs of the sisters. I think that they really did something unique because, my whole thing with the sisters is that they were all just like carbon copies of each other. They didn't really seem that unique. And I actually think that when it comes to the changes in this movie, I think that making the sisters diverse makes the most sense. I mean, if Triton is the king of the sea and people of all different racial backgrounds touch the sea, why would all mermaids be white? It just doesn't really make sense. And it also just makes it seem like Triton is not very... It makes it seem like Triton's quite boring, if I'm being honest. His taste is very one way, which is very strange for someone who's supposed to essentially be Poseidon. But anyway, I absolutely love the designs of the sisters, and I was clicking through them. I love Caspia. I think that she looks so pretty. And of course, because this is like the white one, everyone is saying that this is what Ariel should have looked like. I'm looking at Indira. I think she's absolutely gorgeous, obviously supposed to represent these South Asian girlies. And there's Mala, who is of Asian descent. She's absolutely gorgeous. Love what they did with her shoulders. I love the styling on this. I think of the things that I've seen from The Little Mermaid, the sisters are my favorite part. There's Tamika, who for me looks the most queenly of them all. She is with the crown and everything. This is my absolute favorite design. And I really like the way that they tied their scales into their skin. I think it's just so cool. Karina, for me, gives very much so Let It Go. She looks really gorgeous, and she's the other white girl. I love that. I love that we have diversity. And then there's Ariel, of course, who is the one that everyone's upset about. But the one that I wanted to talk to you guys about is Perla. Now, Perla is played by an actress who was in The Warrior Nun, which I hear is very sapphic. Is that true? You'll have to let me know. Now, there was a lot of very interesting comments under the various pictures that I saw of Perla, and pretty much all of these comments are insinuating that the actress is transgender. Now, I've not seen Warrior Nun, and I don't know too much about this actress, but one thing I do know is that she is not transgender. And on every single picture, on every post that I saw that had Perla on it, there are people basically trying to insinuate that Perla is transgender and that this is yet again an example of the woke mafia trying to force diversity on people, which again, fictional character, mythical creature. If she was trans, why would it matter? She doesn't even have... Anyway, you've got a couple of comments that say, Perla is a man. She looks like a guy. Trans.Atlantic. I think she's trans. And there's just several comments that are basically insinuating that she's trans. I just clicked on another picture on a Facebook page called Adults Who Love Disney. The first comment, is that a dude? I'm just clicking through Facebook right now to see these comments, and obviously Facebook's where logic and civility go to die, but still, I thought it was really funny because this is such a great example of the stuff that we talk about, right? There are people who sit around and think that they know every single trans person, and they will harshly criticize every cis woman who doesn't fall into typically feminine standards, which of course is a bad thing. Now, I'm gonna look up the name of the actress because I really should know this person's name, but I believe that she is not white. The name of this actress is Lorena Andrea. What ethnicity is Lorena Andrea? Andrea was born in Camden, and she apparently has Spanish and Colombian parents. I don't know if that means she's not white, but let's put it this way. She's no Aryan goddess like Caspia, right? And I think the thing that's so interesting to me about this is that if you look at what a lot of people consider to be the height of femininity, it is almost always a white woman. It is almost always a very Nordic looking white woman. And I just think it's so interesting. These people are always looking for something to be offended by. These people are always looking for some example of the woke mob forcing an agenda on them. And you know what's so funny about this? These are fish. It's just so funny to me. It's been really interesting these past few years to see the way that people have started to shift conversations around transgender people. There are so many people who are so obsessed about making sure that they know that a transgender person is trans. And I just find that to be so odd. You know, outside of maybe the doctor's office or the bedroom, I really can't think of many situations where it actually matters. And if there is any context where a Disney character could be transgender, I think a mermaid is probably a better one. Who cares if Disney decided to have a trans person in The Little Mermaid? I don't know. And do you know what's really depressing? When I see her body next to the other mermaid sisters, her body is the most athletic. It is definitely one that is less curvaceous, but plenty of women look like that. And how many women with that body type grow up feeling like they are less of a woman because they have that body type? I find it so interesting that one of the main criticisms against transgender women is that they are misogynistic. And then I see shit like this, where it's very clear that people want to actually be far more misogynistic. They actually want to be far more critical of women's appearances, to the point where if a woman falls out of line, it's an insult to say, oh, you look like you might be transgender. And we have an entire industry of plastic surgery and the beauty industry at large that targets young, insecure women with similar body types to sell them shit, to sell them really intense surgeries, to sell them BBLs and all types of shit, also that they can have a more feminine appearance. And a more feminine appearance, of course, probably aligns with more of a typically white supremacist appearance, right? Like there are several comments of people saying, she looks like a guy, she looks like a guy, she looks like a guy. Wow. These are probably the same exact people who would swear up and down that the only women who should be calling themselves women are women who were born with a uterus. And here's a person with a uterus who just doesn't happen to fall within your particular standard of femininity, and suddenly she's a guy. Suddenly she's not actually a woman. It just really shows you how much of a shaky foundation these things are actually seated upon. I just find it so interesting. And when I think about this too, I think about some of the hurdles that transgender actors probably do have, right? A trans woman could never be in a film just looking pretty and looking desirable without somebody obsessively trying to remind people who are looking at pictures of her that she's transgender. And then this person says, I think she's trans, and someone else comments, I hope not. Why? Why? Why do you hope that she's not transgender? Because being transgender is the worst thing in the world. Like, I get it. I get that these people are just transphobic, but it's so interesting to me that they feel so comfortable saying stuff like this. I know why they say stuff like this, because women are viewed as a commodity. And if a man, especially because these are mostly men, if a man is sitting and sexually desiring a woman, which of course is not the point of this, but if he's doing that, you got to make sure she's got the right parts. You got to make sure that she could be sexually compatible with you, even though you would never have a chance to sleep with her. It is very odd behavior. And I thought it was depressing to click on some of these pictures and read these comments, seeing of people saying, oh my gosh, she's trans. Oh my gosh, she's trans. And this is a woman who is not transgender, you know, and I find it so funny because a lot of people who support that sort of shit don't even get that all you're advocating for is shit like this, to be so harshly scrutinized as a woman that you must adhere to these very narrow standards, this very specific shape of your body, this very specific way of dressing, this very specific way of speaking, this very specific way of being. And only if you adhere to all of those things do you get to be called a woman. Sounds like misogyny to me. Anyway, on that note, I just wanted to bring this up because I like mermaids and I was dressed as a mermaid today and I figured that it would be just like a perfect opportunity. I am only half excited to see this movie. I think that Disney is a corporation like all corporations, and I think that this is obviously just a very shallow attempt at renewing their copyright for this IP. That's why they're remaking all of these movies. And I actually haven't seen any of the remake Disney movies, but I will be honest and say that I'm probably gonna go see this one. Only because I do love The Little Mermaid and I really like mermaids, and yeah, I'm a stereotype. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I want you guys to always remember and to never forget that you're beautiful and you are loved. Bye.